This is the complete breakdown of the Kobe Bryant helicopter crash. The crash killed 9 people on a foggy Sunday morning in January 2020 when a Sikorsky S-76B aircraft succumbed to spatial disorientation. According to the National Transportation Safety Board, the tragedy was preventable under 14 CFR Part 91 regulations. On the morning of January 26, 2020, hours before boarding a helicopter, Kobe Bryant and his 13-year-old daughter Gianna took communion at an early morning church service. They were headed to the Mamba Sports Academy in Thousand Oaks, California, where Gianna's basketball team was scheduled to play. The night before, Bryant had asked his assistant to move the flight time up by 45 minutes so he could watch another game before his daughter's team took the court. That small change put the helicopter in the air during the worst window of weather that morning. The aircraft was a Sikorsky S-76B, a well-respected twin-engine helicopter with a strong safety record. It had logged 4,716 hours of flight time and was formerly owned by the state of Illinois, once carrying Governor Rod Blagojevich. But there was something missing from this helicopter. When Island Express Helicopters acquired the aircraft in March 2016, they removed its cockpit voice recorder. U.S. regulations do not require helicopters to carry them. The helicopter also lacked a terrain awareness and warning system, something the NTSB had been recommending for helicopters with 6 or more passenger seats since 2004. Unlike helicopter air ambulance operators who were mandated to install TAWS systems in 2017, Part 91 operators like Island Express faced no such requirement. The FAA never enforced that recommendation. 9 people boarded the helicopter that morning: Kobe Bryant, age 41, and his daughter Gianna, age 13. John Altobelli, a 56-year-old baseball coach about to start his 28th season at Orange Coast College, along with his wife Carrie and their 14-year-old daughter Alyssa, Sarah Chester and her 13-year-old daughter Peyton, Christina Mauser, a basketball coach at Harbor Day School, whom the kids called MOD, and at the controls, 50-year-old Ara Zobayan, the chief pilot of Island Express Helicopters. Zobayan was no amateur. He had logged 8,577 flight hours, including 1,250 in the Sikorsky S-76. He was considered one of the most sought-after helicopter pilots in Southern California, with high-profile clients including Kawhi Leonard and Kylie Jenner. He had been Bryant's preferred pilot since 2015, and the two had developed what investigators later described as a very close friendship, a detail that would become critical in understanding what went wrong. The helicopter lifted off from John Wayne Airport at 9:06 a.m. Pacific time. The flight plan was simple enough: northwest to Camarillo Airport, about a 39-minute trip, but conditions that morning were anything but simple. Visibility was so low that the Los Angeles Police Department had grounded its entire helicopter fleet. At 9:21 a.m., as Zobayan approached the Burbank area, air traffic controllers informed him that weather conditions required instrument flight rules. He was placed in a holding pattern, circling for 11 minutes. During that hold, controllers told him the cloud tops extended to 2,400 feet. At 9:32 a.m., he received permission to proceed under special visual flight rules, which required him to stay below 2,500 feet and maintain visual contact with the ground. This is where the chain of fatal decisions began. Zobayan continued northwest, flying at roughly 1,450 feet over the San Fernando Valley. As he approached the hills near Calabasas, the terrain rose and the clouds thickened. He was flying into a narrowing gap between rising ground and a descending cloud layer. At 9:44 a.m., he radioed air traffic control and said he was climbing to get above the cloud cover. That transmission was the last anyone heard from him. The helicopter climbed to approximately 2,370 feet above sea level, and then inside the clouds, with no visual reference to the ground or the horizon, Zobayan became spatially disoriented in what the NTSB would classify as an inadvertent instrument meteorological conditions incident. His inner ear was lying to him. Without being able to see the ground, a pilot's vestibular system can completely misinterpret motion, making a bank feel like straight and level flight, making a descent feel like a climb. This same phenomenon of spatial disorientation claimed the life of John F. Kennedy Jr. in 1999 when his aircraft plunged into the ocean off Martha's Vineyard. Zobayan had an autopilot system available. He didn't engage it. What happened next took 12 seconds. The helicopter entered a left descending turn and plummeted at a rate that exceeded 4,000 feet per minute, ultimately reaching nearly 5,000 feet per minute. When it struck the hillside in Calabasas, the aircraft was traveling at approximately 184 miles per hour. There were no survivors. One eyewitness described hearing the sound growing louder before a blue and white helicopter burst from the clouds, moving fast on a forward and descending trajectory. He watched it begin to roll left, catching a glimpse of its belly before it struck the terrain. He saw it for 1 to 2 seconds. The NTSB investigation that followed was exhaustive, producing more than 1,700 pages of factual reports and an 86-page final determination. Investigators confirmed there was no engine failure, no mechanical malfunction. The aircraft was in working order. The cause was human. The probable cause was Zobayan's decision to continue visual flight into instrument meteorological conditions. But the NTSB went deeper than that. Investigators identified self-induced pressure and planned continuation bias as contributing factors. That close friendship between Zobayan and Bryant, investigators said, was the kind of relationship that can lead a pilot to push through conditions they would otherwise avoid. As NTSB Vice Chairman Bruce Landsberg put it, the closer you get to the destination, the more you think just maybe you can pull this off. NTSB Chairman Robert Sumwalt was more direct. There were opportunities along the way to have reversed course and prevented this crash, he said, by simply landing. The aftermath extended far beyond the crash site. By January 28th, all 9 bodies had been recovered. 4 were identified through fingerprints, the remaining 5 through DNA analysis. On February 7th, Kobe and Gianna Bryant were buried at Pacific View Memorial Park in Corona del Mar. On February 24th, 20,000 people filled the Staples Center for a public memorial. Michael Jordan wept at the podium. Vanessa Bryant told the crowd, "God knew they couldn't be on this earth without each other." Then came the scandal. First responders at the crash site had taken photos of the victims' remains on their personal cell phones and shared them with colleagues. One deputy reportedly showed them to a stranger at a bar. Another deputy allegedly referred to Bryant's body as a pile of meat. The photos circulated among employees of the Los Angeles County Sheriff's and Fire Departments, including some who were playing video games and attending an awards banquet at the time. Vanessa Bryant sued. In August 2022, a jury awarded the Bryant family $16 million and the Chester family $15 million. By March 2023, a final settlement of $28.85 million was reached with Los Angeles County. California also passed Assembly Bill 2655, now known as the Kobe Bryant Act, making it a misdemeanor for first responders to take unauthorized photos of accident or crime victims. In Congress, the Kobe Bryant and Gianna Bryant Helicopter Safety Act was introduced, directing the Federal Aviation Administration to require flight data recorders, cockpit voice recorders, and terrain awareness systems on all turbine-powered helicopters with 6 or more passenger seats. Senator Feinstein noted that mandatory terrain awareness equipment had been recommended by the National Transportation Safety Board for 15 years, but the Federal Aviation Aviation Administration had failed to require it. On February 8, 2024, a 19-foot bronze statue of Bryant was unveiled outside Crypto.com Arena, immortalizing his 81-point game. A second statue depicting Kobe and Gianna together followed on August 2, 2024. 9 people died that foggy morning in Calabasas, not because of a mechanical failure, not because of an act of God, as Island Express tried to claim. They died because a skilled pilot, under subtle but real pressure, made a decision to keep going when every signal told him to stop. And because the systems that should have been in place to catch that mistake, the recorders, the terrain warnings, the oversight, simply were not there. The National Transportation Safety Board said it best: this crash was preventable. The question that remains is whether we've done enough to prevent the next one.